Welcome to the pinnacle of growth in college gymnastics. Clemson's program is in its third year of existence, and the upstart support at Littlejohn Coliseum has been off the charts. Today, 16th ranked Tigers welcoming Cal. Yes, they're from opposite coasts, but the connections in this one run deep between these two. It is great to have you with us. Jack Kaiser with former Georgia Bulldog Sydney Sneed. There are usually quite a few connections in conference meets, but a different level today. Justin Howell, Liz Crandall Howell, the former coaches at Cal, facing their old team for the first time.
Justin and Liz built up Cal's program for the last 13 years. They were national runner-up just a few years ago, so they're going to be looking to do the same thing here at Clemson now.
And someone who wasn't with Cal last year, freshman Tanya Paulson from Sweden. She has been terrific, one of the best all-arounds in the ACC.
Her gymnastics is just so beautiful to watch. She has been such a standout for this Cal team, and she brings a lot of elite experience being a 22-year-old freshman. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do tonight and how she's going to continue to get better throughout the season.
Her maturity, her artistry, that has really helped the Golden Bears this year. International experience for Sweden, also Taiwan. Bars and floor, those are her best, but such a well-rounded athlete for Cal. She's been dynamic this season, no doubt, for the Cal Golden Bears. As for Clemson, they just had their best score this season last week in a win here over North Carolina. It's the third time ever they've broken 197.
Clemson has been on fire this year. Last week with their 197, but one thing that really impressed me were their landings. They had so many sticks on all of their events and just look like they're having such a great time out there, really showing off their confidence that they've built.
Now keep in mind, Clemson, three-year-old program. The odds are some record is going to be broken almost every night, but the growth is certainly undeniable with Liz Crandall Howell, Justin Howell at the helm now for the Tigers.
One thing I liked that Liz Crandall Howell said is, you can't make a memory without being present. And that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do tonight. And we've seen it on the floor. We saw it in warm-ups. This team's ready to go.
They competed a little bit looser last meet with more joy leading to that win over North Carolina, hoping to follow that up today. In case you don't know, this is how NCAA gymnastics meets work in the dual format. You've got 6 competing. You're going to drop the lowest score, so you count 5, and then you count up all the different events, and that cumulative score at the end could potentially give you the victory. So it'll be Clemson that starts on vault, and Cal starting on bars. And Bree Clark, the 5th-year senior from the Mobile area, the first time in her career competing on vault this season.
She starts out with a 10-0 vault. That was a soup full. She does the round off onto the table. She's able to fly through the air. That's a solid start for Clemson. The judges may take a little bit from the lack of height that she gets. Again, that's me being picky.
Got to be picky in gymnastics.
When it comes down to half-attempt deductions, a little bit.
Now over to bars and Cal. This is Cal's best event. They're going to need a high score on this apparatus today to hang with Clemson.
Watch for her.
Adorinto, the senior, on first.
Watch for her big release move right here. She does that right down to the bail. Nice handstand on top of the bar. And ends with that double front tuck dismount. It is a blind landing, so she took that step back. That'll be a deduction, but another strong start for Cal.
Geraldine Stack-Eaton, her first year as the head coach at Cal, last 11 as an assistant coach at Minnesota. Some fans might remember her from Alabama as an athlete. She was the 2012 Division I Gymnast of the Year. She was terrific there. She said, yeah, naturally I was a perfectionist. I didn't get to enjoy my accomplishments as much as I wanted to in the moment. And she wants her athletes as a coach to be able to experience that in a different way. To Madison Minner on vault.
See your Yurchenko 1.5 here. Blind landing has the slight step forwards, but because that starts from a 10-0, she has that advantage. We'll see right here, she does get a nice block. She has that tuck position through the air. And again, is able to spot that. She does a nice job breaking out. That'll be a good score for them.
Again, we move lightning fast through these first couple of rotations. We're going to bounce back and forth, keep the action moving. Maya Wiley, sophomore, trying to bounce back after season lows on bars and vault last week at Stanford. It was Cal's highest score as a team this season, but they did fall short of the defending ACC champion.
Cal's really going to want to try and get those clean routines that comes from that execution, the handstands, and the stuck landings to be able to push their overall score. Beautiful pack salto down to the low bar. I like how she was able to float in the air for a second. She does that Van Leeuwen up to the high bar. Nice double layout dismount. Kind of does a hop in place. That'll be a little bit of a deduction, but I like how they're able to build throughout this lineup so far. We'll see right here. Look at this pack salto. She floats through the air. It's picture perfect for a second when you stop it. I love that. And then the double layout, nice extension, a little bit of pike down on the landing. We'll see what the judges take on that.
To Maggie Holman back on vault for Clemson.
A unique vault, that front handspring, front pike half. That is another 10-0 start value. We're seeing that vault become more popular in NCAA. One thing I really like is the height she gets off the table. That block comes from the push. Look right there, the fingers through all the way to her arms. So she's able to get that extension. She looks happy with it.
What makes that so difficult?
It's a different kind of vault. You're approaching the table straight on. You're having to block and then twist mid-air. So it is more of a unique vault. They're all difficult in their own ways, but like I said, that half twist and that block onto the front is really where that power and difficulty comes from. And
we do have scores starting to populate now. 9.825 for Clark and Minner to begin, and a 9.775 on bars for Cal. A reminder, 6 will compete. You drop the lowest score, that's your team score for that event.
See how her elbows are perfectly straight as she approaches the table. Right here, she blocks. That's how she gets all of her power, and that's pushing through all the way from her arms down through her fingers.
This is Annalise Newman-Atchie, 9.95 on bars at ACC's last year. But that was her only event. She's an all-around this season, making a tremendous leap.
She has such a sharp rhythm throughout her bar routine, and sometimes that can be difficult to find on an event like this. So far, so good. Just getting ready for that full twisting double back. Almost had the stick. Slight step backwards. But a really nice routine. Let's take another look. Look at the height she gets on the dismount. It's like she's twisting in midair and then just drops down to that landing.
That follows Maya Wiley's 9.875 on bars. 3 straight 9.825s to start for Clemson. Ella Cesario, the Cal transfer, competing against her old team for the first time.
She's gonna do a Yurchenko full. A big hop back. That was a significant hop. It's a clean vault that she does, but unfortunately that's gonna be the biggest deduction there. And that does start from a 9.95, so she's already at that half a tenth deduction. And then on top of that, so let's take another look. Nice extension all the way through the air. Look at her body position. She is straight up and down. I really like how she's able to get that. Has too much power. If she had just broken out with her arms the tiniest bit early, that would have been perfect. Gymnastics is all about timing. The littlest little details just make such a big difference.
You can throw everything off. And Cesario won all around last week against North Carolina. Again, Clemson last week breaking 197 for the first time this year. Got Sage Melkonian trying to get in her zone. Sophomore taking a major role after competing in just a few exhibitions last year as a freshman.
She does that straddle Jaeger down to the bail. If you notice her cow hop, how she twisted her arms, it was so quick that she flipped her hands. But that's really difficult to do, and she ends with a double layout stick. They're really excited about it. That was a solid routine from Cal. Watch right here how her hands, she jumped on, flipped her hands quickly, did that beautiful straddle Jaeger.
Bars is Cal's best event, 9th in the country on it. Tara Walsh on vault, the 6th-year senior. 9.85 or better on 4 of her 5 vaults this year.
She's gonna do Yurchenko 1.5. She's stuck it a lot of times, and in the warm-up, almost had it.
Wow.
She knew she almost had it too, but so impressive. She has stuck the last 3 out of 5 of her vaults. And again, we're talking about a Yurchenko 1.5. That blind landing is so difficult. And she just does a beautiful job through the air. She breaks out, she spots her landing. You can see how tight she was squeezing to hang on to that. I really like the height she was able to get. So close, but again, we've seen her stick it a bunch, so she has the potential for such a high score.
So you saw that arm swing when she landed. How does that factor in?
The judges will take a deduction on that typically, and we see that sometimes. It's almost better to just take that extra step than an entire arm circle. So we'll see what the judges take depending. Some gymnasts cover it up really quickly and really well. You see her squeeze and then take an extra one, so they might take a little deduction on that.
That's just part of the salute, right?
That was just part of the dance.
So you see Ella Cesario's score for Clemson grayed out now. That's the lowest score as of now that Clemson would drop. Tara Walsh with a 9.9 on vault. So Clemson's still on pace right now for perhaps its best score of the season on vault. And Sage Melkonian with a 9.925 monster score before Casey Brown.
She's gonna start with a huge pack salto. She's able to just float in the air. Right up to that Van Leeuwen. She does a really unique dismount there. We'll take another look. She does a toe on to front pike half. Notice how she extends out. I would like to see a little better form throughout. Straighter legs and her toes pointed. But again, she lands with her chest up, which is minimizing that deduction on that landing.
And for the first time this year, Paige Anastasi competing.
She does a Yurchenko full. A solid vault. You saw that step back. Again, as the season goes on, they're gonna wanna be looking at those sticks on especially the Yurchenko fulls that start at that 9.95.
The UCLA transfer has been dealing with the concussion, competing for the first time this year in the lineup and anchoring. First couple of years at UCLA. And Liz Crandall Howell, co-head coach with her husband, Justin Howell. They were at Cal last year, co-ACC coaches of the year. We got a chance to speak with her earlier this week. It's so much about the process with them. It really comes down to feeling the routine, not about the scores.
Scores are something that you can't focus on, and it's hard to do in a sport that you're getting scored on your every move. But that sometimes can result in not good gymnastics.
It's worked for them very well over the last decade plus. Tanya Paulson anchoring bars.
Just a beautiful routine so far. I love her lines and extension. She's able to do that blind fall into the double tuck dismount. She drops it into that stick. Her handstands are really what stick out. They are textbook perfect when she's on top of the bar. Look right here. That is what the judges want to see. Straight line, right on top of the bar. And she's able to float through the rest of her routine. Dismount, look at the height, and drops that
wow.
right into a stick. Great job there.
So waiting for that final score from Paulson. The leadoff, Aderinto with a 9.775. That's the lowest so far. That's why you see it grayed out. And a 9.7 for Cesario for Clemson, the one that's going to be dropped. Now, Paulson already has a 9.95 on bars this year. And Melkonian with a career high 9.925 in the 4 position. Again, if Cal wants to get a win on the road today, big score on bars is a must.
They're going to be really happy with their bar score so far. The routines continued to build. I liked how they were focused more on that execution. Clean routines are really what the judges are going to be looking for. It's not all about the difficulty, but that execution piece. And we'll see that on every single event.
Clemson had season highs on all 4 events last week against North Carolina. And Cal was almost equally as good against Stanford in the big meet. 9.925 for Tanya Paulson. It is Cal with the edge after bars. Rotation 2 coming up. Rotation 1 done at Little John Coliseum. Top 10 in the nation in attendance year after year, at least so far in Clemson's history. 3rd year of existence for the Clemson program. Cal with a terrific score on bars, 49.4. They average 49.23. That's 9th in the country, so above average for Cal on bars on the road, just the score they needed to start. Because we're a few minutes away from starting rotation 2 with both teams flipping. Liz Crandall-Howell, Justin Howell, co-head coaches at Cal for years. They built them into a national runner-up. They go to the opposite coast in Clemson. They both grew up out west. It was a big move for them. Clemson's a different lifestyle, right? It's a smaller town, bit of a change, but they look at the facilities here and all the opportunity that Clemson provides, and they are really excited about the opportunity that this program provides.
Yeah, just the support that they have from all the staff members here, all the fans. It's so much fun to be surrounded by that. And they kept mentioning that, hey, even when we're walking down, you know, the street and people are talking to us and saying hey to us, it's just been so fun for them. And I know they're excited to be here. It's been awesome to be able to watch them just kind of grow and build this program.
They're on the right track so far. I mean, Clemson already with ranked 16th, the highest trajectory in the program to this point, finishing 29th and then in the 30s their first couple of years. As for Cal, with Justin and Liz at the helm, they were national runner-up a couple of years ago. Geraldine Stack-Eaton, we saw her earlier this broadcast, and she's just trying to sustain that success and put her own imprint on the culture. That is a different challenge in itself, but we look at both programs and pretty evenly matched overall this season to this point, and then within the second rotation itself, very evenly matched as well. So could swing this whole thing one way or the other. Second rotation coming up after this. Big score on bars, and they got it 49-4 right now with the edge over Clemson, who scored a 49-175 on vault. Both teams coming off their highest scores this season. Sage Melconi, that's a career high for on bars with a 9.925, and Cal with the slight edge to this point. Cal did beat Clemson out in Berkeley last year, but different looking programs, different coaches for both in their first year, with Geraldine Stack Eaton, Justin Howell, Liz Crandall Howell now with Clemson. Getting ready for Clemson on bars and Cal going to vault. And it's Casey Brown ready to lead off.
She's gonna lead off with her Yurchenko full. See how she was able to break out of her twist. You saw her arms go straight out to be able to drop into that landing. Really solid start for them, and a nice vault to build off of. See how she pushes off. She breaks out with her arms to spot the landing. I like how she does that. Really nice job.
She's been a regular on vault over the last couple of years for Cal. Lily Lippett approaching the bars. Third year competing on everything but vault. She actually competed with a torn bicep last season, but she has got a brand new shoulder, and she is performing great in her senior season.
So far, so good on this routine. We saw her hit that handstand at the top. Blindfolded, double tuck. She did a half swing there to hold herself still.
Very nice start on bars for Clemson. This is what Liz Crandall Howell is looking for. She's a very technical coach, maybe a bit of a bigger picture look at her team goals today, Sydney.
Great body posture on those landings, those controlled landings. Where is your chest, the rest of your body? She wants them to be aggressive on everything as well.
Tanya Paulson on vault.
Another Yurchenko full there. Couldn't quite see the landing, but based off the reaction, it looked like it was a good one. We'll take another look here. Nice job with the block and the distance. A little bit of pike down on that landing, but the slightest hop backwards.
Normally gets a good amount of distance on her vaults. 9.85 for Brown. First score for Cal here in rotation 2. As simple as it sounds, Sydney, having that aggressive mindset of, hey, I'm going for it, and instead of the scared, I don't want to mess up, that makes a difference.
And every event is different. You're more aggressive on vault and floor, and then beam and bars, you're a little bit, the adrenaline's down a little bit. How do you stay in that mindset and in your own bubble? So aggressive can mean different things on different events, and that's something to keep in mind.
How long did it take for you to grasp that? Did you always have it?
No, it takes a lot of practice to be able to come down and then, you know, get a little more adrenaline on certain events. It takes a little bit. Nice handstand to finish off this bar routine. She does a double layout and sticks it. One thing to point out was how beautiful her body extension was on her double layout. She has the potential to score really high with her execution. Take a look at her Pike Jaeger release move. Down to the bail. Nice double layout to finish off that bar routine.
Anna Clark with another strong performance. Back to vault.
Yurchenko full. A lot of power that we're seeing on these vaults, and power is a good thing when you can control that landing. So a little bit on the landings, the shifts, the jump backs that the judges will take the deductions on, but their vaults are really strong and there's potential for those high scores. Take a look right here. Nice block off the table. Her chest is a little bit down on that landing. You see right there, she's leaned over her knees. The judges notice that. They notice those little details, and that's where they're gonna take a deduction.
Well, it's Annalise Newman-Achi. 9.85, 9.825 to begin for Cal with Brown and Paulson respectively. Lippitt got her score with a 9.85. Still waiting on Clark's. And Emma Malevsky, highly anticipated freshman from Germany. Another old freshman at 21 years old. Season best 9.875 on bars last week.
She starts with that Maloney down to Pax Salto. Really like her form throughout. Blindfold, double tuck. Ends with a stick. We always say sticks are contagious.
We've gotten a bunch of them. Coming up Sunday, we'll feature our Play for K doubleheader. NC State squaring off against Virginia Tech at noon Eastern. Then India Navarre at number 25, North Carolina, taking on Wake Forest. So many great sports in action on ACC Network, including gymnastics. Maya Wiley on vault.
This year, Yurchenko full. Huge height and block off of the table. A little bit of pike down on that landing. So the judges want to see not only the height, but the distance from the table to the landing. We'll see right here on this replay. Notice how she pushes through her arms, through her fingers, but then that pike down right there. Looking at the distance from the vault table to where her feet are.
Yeah, hit just before that first seam in the mat. Here comes Eve Jackson.
Yep.
Only in the bars lineup today. Normally also on vault and floor.
Okay.
But she is a tremendous athlete, just like her uncle. Might have heard of him before. Deshaun Jackson, great wide receiver, deep threat in the NFL. And he actually played his college ball at Cal.
Such a cool fun fact.
Yeah. So facing her uncle's alma mater. Actually, the first college football game she remembers going to was at Cal. So we do have a judges conference right now about a start value.
Those can be tough for the athletes that are waiting to go. It's a mental mind game that you're playing with yourself. You're in the mindset of the green flag going up, you're ready to hit your routine, and then there's a pause. So that is something that they practice in the practice gym, in preseason. How do we handle this? And when we do have a pause that's unexpected, how can we get back into the swing of things when the green flag does go up?
How did you handle it?
I always just stepped away for a second, stepped away from the equipment, did a mental rep in my head, took a couple of deep breaths. Some athletes like to stay loose, lean on their teammates, maybe their coaches. Everyone's a little different, but it can be difficult.
Former Georgia Bulldog, Sydney Sneed, I'm Jack Kaiser. Glad to have you with us at Little John Coliseum. Another terrific crowd here today. The support has been unbelievable for Clemson in its third year of existence as a program. A lot of people around here just figuring out what gymnastics is all about for the first time, right?
I'm so impressed with their fans, though. They're so educated. You see them yelling when the scores are high, or they're chanting for 10s when there's a good routine, and that's always nice to see around the sport of gymnastics in general.
Even Liz Crandall Howell and Justin Howell's son, Grayson, who's 12 years old, he used to have to go to the meets kind of with family by himself, right? Now he's going with his buddies from school because the whole community is coming out. Here's Eve Jackson.
She did a huge straddle Jaeger to start that routine. So far, so good. Full twisting double tuck. She had so much power on that landing, so deduction will be on that step back, but she's so bouncy throughout her bar routine. Her handstands pop up so nicely. But what highlight right here, look at the height she gets over the bar, the extension in her elbows as she's able to grab back onto it, and then her dismount. So much power.
Why did she end up hopping back there in the dismount? Let's watch Jaden Silvers first.
Jaden Silvers with her Yurchenko 1.5. Another one that had too much power. You saw her take that step forwards.
Let's circle back to this dismount right now.
So look at how much power. She has height, she has rotation. She's tucked in such a tiny ball, and she is such an explosive athlete that you have to be able to control that and know where you're at in order to break out. So too much power, I always like to say, is a good thing, but you do have to get good at controlling it to be able to get that stick.
With great power comes great responsibility. Maya Wiley scored great out for Cal. 9.875 for Milevsky after the 9.9 from Clark, the highest score for either team in this rotation. And waiting for Ella Cesario in the 5 position on bars for Clemson. She is experienced, she is confident, and she just lightens the room too, which is certainly an underrated skill as far as bringing a team together. Sensational on bars last week, had a season best 9.9 in the win over North Carolina.
I love the extension she gets through her shoulders on all of her skills and handstands. Nice straddle Jaeger into that bail. That combination's difficult going from one skill to the next. Double layout dismount. Almost had that stick, but really good, clean routine. She had great form throughout. One thing I really liked was she did that straddle Jaeger, and then her toes went high up as she was transitioning to the low bar. That's difficult to do. You don't see that too often. Take another look. Look at the extension in her body on both of the flips.
Stick?
Almost. I don't know if the judges will be super picky. Looks like a tiny shift of her feet. We'll see what they take.
And we got a fall, our first of the meet from Kyan Mayhew for Cal.
You never want to see a fall. That was just from a lack of rotation and power. We'll take another look here. She hits the table, doesn't get much of a block. When your elbows are a little bit bent, that takes away from that power that you're normally able to push off of the table with. So again, just that under rotation there.
Happens to everybody. Mayhew had just won vault 3 consecutive meets. So that will be the score that's dropped for Cal. Wiley's, which is grayed out right now, will come back into play. The 6 compete, you take the 5 highest. So that'll damage Cal's score a bit. And Quinn Cool, a tall athlete at 5'8", anchoring bars for Clemson.
She's gonna start out with a big release move. A huge ray down to the bail. See if she can get the stick on this double layout. And she gets it. That's a way to put an exclamation point on Clemson's bar lineup. Take another look at this ray. Nice job with the body extension and the elbows on the catch. And then the dismount, drops it right in. That's going to be a good score for Clemson.
Certainly will. Done with rotation 2 now. We welcome in Cal's head coach, Geraldine Stack-Eaton. Coach, we talked with you earlier this week about handling the environment coming to Clemson. How do you think your team's done that so far?
I think they've done a really great job. We're just really excited to be in this environment with a lot of people and excited to continue these next 2 rotations.
Absolutely amazing bar lineup that you all had. What was the messaging heading into that event?
We were just wanting to take one thing at a time. That's what we've been practicing, how we continue to get a half a tenth better, working on our landings, working on our handstands, and the same thing on vault rotation. I think we had much better landings. Obviously, we had a little unfortunate with Kyan, but we're ready to bounce back and get these next 2 rotations under our belt.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, fun start at Little John Coliseum. 2 rotations done. After 2 rotations, top 20 matchup between Clemson and Cal. Cal led after the first rotation with a 49-4 on bars. That's a big score, but Clemson retaking the lead, or taking the lead for the first time, with a 49-3-5 on bars themselves. And it is Clemson with the slight edge, going for a second consecutive victory at home. We are so glad to have you with us at Little John Coliseum. We're rocking in here already. Jack Kaiser, former Georgia Bulldog, Sydney Sneed, about to see Beam for the first time, coming up in rotation 3. As far as lineup construction, you were a leadoff yourself on Beam your entire career. It's kind of a myth that the weakest person goes first. Sometimes you put your best athlete out there first.
Yeah, a lot of people assume that your lowest score is going to come from your leadoff, but that is far from the truth. Your leadoff spot is usually the most important spot in your lineup. They're going to be your most consistent, your most confident. Everyone else is going to build off of them. So when you have a strong leadoff that's going to come in lights out, that's when you know you're going to have a good score.
Going to be especially important today in a very tight meet. Going to need that mental toughness as things get tighter and tighter down the stretch, and Beam always is a little bit tentative as far as scoring as well. We'll see how it shakes out. We're going to recap rotation 1 and 2 in case you're just joining us on the other side. Fun meet between Cal and Clemson. Clemson in front after 2 rotations. Tara Walsh with a 9-9 on vault. Once you're getting into the 9-9s, that is a major difference. And that helped Clemson take the lead with their second event. But you look back to bars and Hannah Clark, she has been so consistent in this event all season.
Both of these athletes doing a great job helping Clemson gain that lead over Cal. We'll see how these next 2 events go, if they can keep up with that momentum.
And just a different vibe when you go into Beam and Floor, very different events. You know, we talked about competing with joy for both programs and having that looseness. Have you seen that out there today?
I have, and really where we'll be able to see that are these next 2 events for them. But you can feel it. I think it puts the team just in a better bubble of not focusing on the wrong things. And that's something that's helped them this year so far.
In a very process-oriented driven Clemson group along with Cal. And we have more gymnastics coming up for you this weekend right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 12, North Carolina, and number 22, NC State, tomorrow at 4 Eastern. And Sydney Seabrook, she is a terrific freshman for North Carolina. Bubbly, contagious personality. North Carolina, its highest expectations in almost 20 years. NC State hosting the local school. 40 minutes separating those 2. Again, tomorrow, 4 Eastern. Plenty of awesome gymnastics action coming up in February and going into March as teams try to gather themselves before these events and you're talking with your teammates. It feels like that brings out the team aspect of the sport more than anything, right?
Absolutely, and that's their normal. That's what they practice in the preseason and in the fall. How are we going to set up how we approach this event?
Athletes coming from elite international gymnastics to college gymnastics, that's something they bring up all the time. The team aspect is so much fun. All right, getting started in rotation 3 on beam with Clemson and Tara Walsh.
She's a phenomenal leadoff. Exactly what we just talked about, she will show you throughout this routine. Beautiful back handspring, back layout series. She has a sense of just this quiet confidence about her. That front toss into a beat jump. You see her throw her head back on that ring jump. That's difficult because you're losing sight and contact of the beam. Just has the dismount left. Round of 1.5 with a stick. Again, one of the most important spots in the lineup, and that's exactly why she just set up her lineup for a successful total score. This back handspring, back layout just floats through the air. She's got a big smile on her face after that. And then the front toss. She even looked a little bit off on that, but you saw how she was able to adjust her hips in the middle of the jump. Very impressive.
A lot of times on beam, it's just about, when things don't go right, can you still salvage it? Over the floor for the first time.
A unique combination there. She does a bounder into the Rudy. See, she did a bunch of switch rings there. The judges looking for that 180-degree split on all of those combinations.
So much flexibility throughout this routine.
Last pass she does that round up 1.5 to a Brandy to a split jump. You saw her have that sting mat in her first pass. That sometimes protects the athletes from the beginning of the year, wanting to be gentle on some of those landings. Sometimes it helps them with timing. We'll take another look here at her first pass. See that bounder into the Rudy. She's able to get that twist all the way around. So a solid first pass for her.
Just the second time in Casey Brown's career as a senior competing on floor. Did it for the first time last week against Stanford, earning a hug from Geraldine Stack-Eaton. Back to Bree Clark on beam. Liz Crandall-Howell was raving about this routine.
She's gonna start with a punch front tuck here. Watch this. Huge height she gets from a stand. Back handspring, back layout, minimal wobble on that. Sometimes when you have so much power, it's hard to control on an event like beam, but she does a fantastic job being able to do that. She ends with that punch front Rudy off the end of the beam. A lot of height and explosiveness we saw throughout that routine, but not surprising at all coming from Bree Clark. Take another look here, how she does this back handspring into the back layout. She is a little bit off on her front foot. You can see it partly off of the beam. Take a closer look at her front foot right there. It goes off and she is gripping. Front foot and back foot, both of them.
I mean, that's the margin, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're halfway off. Annalise Newman-Achi on the floor. See that half sock, it'll help with this wolf turn.
That's a really difficult turn there. We'll also see on balance beam a few times tonight. Her first pass, she does that front Rudy to that stag jump.
Fantastic growth this season on the floor. The event she's grown the most in.
I like the extension on those splits and her leap combination. Just has her last tumbling pass. No problem there on that 1.5 to the front layout.
And good night.
We talk about how difficult this is to control. You have to have a lot of core strength to make that all the way around. And then last pass, that 1.5 front layout.
We'll see what score that draws. 9.825 for Brown on floor, 9.8 for Walsh, 9.875 for Clark on the beam. Now to Lily Lippett, the Mason, Ohio native.
Take a look at this series she does. It's going to be a front aerial to a side aerial. And what's difficult about that is going front into a front skill, straight into a side skill on a 4-inch wide beam, to give you some context. See that right there. Beautifully done. Nice job. You could see from this angle on that split jump how high her front leg got. That's the extension, that 180 degree the judges are looking at. Just has her round off 1.5 dismount left. She's gonna be looking for a stick here. Almost gets it, takes that step forwards.
Not quite the stick. And coming up tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, after Clemson and Cal men's hoops, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the day in the ACC with highlights and analysis of every men's game and look ahead at the best matchups on the schedule in the coming week. Clemson very good this season in men's basketball, playing here at Little John. 19-4, they got a balanced team. And back to floor, rotation 3 between Clemson and Cal. It is Jaden Silvers. Looking for a clean routine in succession of Annalise Newman-Achi.
Her first pass, she does a round up to double tuck. Notice how she didn't do a back handspring. That's rare because sometimes that back handspring gives you that extra added power to set you up for the double back. Again, we see that sting mat there. That is No deduction. The judges don't take anything on that. It is allowed on floor. Last pass round off, 1.5 front layout. Her landing was a little bit short there. Looked like she second guessed it, but covered it up nicely.
All right, we're about to head back to beam with Clemson. You mentioned that the beam is 4 inches wide. So how wide is that, right? That's the size of your cell phone if you hold your cell phone sideways.
To give you some context, if you have an iPhone,
Smaller than
just
that.
take a look at your phone, try to jump on it, stay in the same place. If you're able to do that, that is what balance beam is like, but then take that 4 feet higher.
It's absurd. Ella Cesario able to save a couple of close calls last week on beam.
Nice save on that back handspring back layout. You saw how much strength that took in her feet and her legs. She's been rock solid for Clemson all year long. Getting ready for her round off 1.5 dismount here. Can she get a stick? Nice height off of the beam, and she gets it to make up for that tiny wobble on her series. I cannot believe that she saved this. Look at her back handspring, back layout. Look how off she was. And really on her feet. Even closer of a look. Wow, completely turned. She uses her core strength to adjust her hips and minimize that wobble. And then the dismount, just beautifully done on the height on the extension.
Continuing to stay rock solid, Sydney. Continuing in the all-around for Cesario, the Cal transfer. CJ Kenneke, mainstay on floor since last season.
She's going to open with a front Rudy to layout step out. The judges are looking for this layout step out to rise in the air. And she does that pretty easy. A nice job on the extension there on that leap combination. Second pass here. Look at the height on that straddle jump. Her legs going over the requirement of 180 degrees. And ends with the wolf turn. That's a fun routine. Nicely done for Cal.
Teammates are loving it. All right, Quinn Cool coming up on beam for Clemson. We mentioned earlier, she's a taller athlete at 5'8". How does that affect you on beam?
One thing to point out in this routine, she's going to open with a triple series. That's 3 skills in a row. So being 5'8" and being able to fit that on the beam just speaks to her athleticism and how impressive it is, because I'm 5'2", for example. I did a triple series and I took up the entire beam.
Incredible. Here we go.
Back handspring, back handspring, back layout. She took up every inch, but again, that takes a lot of power and timing to be able to do that. Nice rhythm and flow throughout this routine and through her dance. Just has her round off 1.5 left. And she finishes with a stick. She's on a roll today too. That's the second stick we've seen out of her tonight. Let's go back to that triple series we were talking about. Still has some room to spare when she's starting. Notice how she starts back still and is able to fit the entire thing. Back handspring, and then the lift and the rise she gets on that back layout to be able to fit it all.
I mean, you start doing the math, right? It's like, okay, she's not at the edge. She's got 3 of these things. How is she going to stay on? But the lifts and the verticality of it, somehow she's able to do it.
Every single time, too. We're going to see an E tumbling pass right here. Front double full into a front pike.
Looking for a bounce back on floor after the fall on vault from Mayhew.
And that's a mindset shift you have to have. You make a mistake on one event, you have to be able to put it behind you and move on. Your team needs you for the next event. It's important to keep in mind. Last pass, she's gonna do a round off 1.5 to front layout. No problems there. Another good routine from Cal.
We continue to stay very close here. Tara Walsh, the 9-8. Right now would be the one drop. There's multiple 9-8s for Clemson. 9-7-5 for Silvers, the one grayed out and dropped so far for Cal. You count your top 5 as we get ready for the anchors. This is a world-class talent right here. Emma Milewski on beam, the European beam champ in 2022.
We just saw that wolf turn that we saw on floor earlier. But again, talking about that core strength and balance it takes to be able to spin around. Her acro series, beautifully done. Switch leap to Sissone jump. I really like her elegance. Notice her dance, how fluent she is, her fingers, that artistry aspect of beam. She finishes with a round off 1.5. Didn't quite get the 6, small hop, which will be a deduction. But one of the most impressive things, that wolf turn, look how she makes eye contact with the beam on each of her turns. Again, that core strength, being able to wrap around and stay balanced at the same time.
We mentioned the wolf turn on floor. Imagine doing it on beam. That extra pressure. Tanya Paulson, the anchor on floor. Won floor last week at Stanford with a 9-9. Geraldine Stack-Eaton said this routine is one where everybody just stops and stares.
We'll see why right here. Fantastic front tuck through to the double tuck. She's able to drop out of that landing. You saw her chest was up as she was taking that small lunge back. She's an athlete that's so intentional with her gymnastics. Look at her dance, her fingers throughout the entire routine. You can just tell she has great technique by the way she's doing even these basic skills. Huge double pike. She breaks out a little early on that, so we saw her chest down on that landing. The judges will deduct there. They want to see her chest up. Really pretty dance throughout, but we'll take another look at her tumbling. Front tuck, through to the double tuck. See how her chest is down, she breaks out. She has enough height and she has enough power. It's just a matter of holding on to that a little bit longer. Again, when your chest is over your knees, that's where that deduction will come into play.
And we now welcome in Justin Howell, co-head coach for the Clemson Tigers. Coach, we spoke with you guys earlier this week about competing with joy and having that looseness. Do you feel like you've seen that today?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that on vault, maybe we were a little bit tentative with our landings, but we definitely relaxed a little bit more on bars. We were super connected on beam, and so just really excited to watch them go out and have some fun performances that are full of joy on floor.
Coach, your beam team has looked so confident. What is the messaging to be able to get them to that point?
That's Liz Crandall Howell. You know, the beam is her domain, and she's an unbelievable coach there. So she just instills a lot of confidence in the foundation and the way that they do their skills. And so they have a lot of great anchors, you know, to stay connected to when they're competing. But it's really fun to just kind of watch them develop as a super confident beam team, you know, from the preseason to where we are now.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck.
Go Tigers.
Still waiting on one more score from Tanya Paulson before we officially move on to rotation 4. We're going to head to break. Final rotation coming up. We have been neck and neck the whole way, separated by a half-tenth right now. On fire right now. Little John Coliseum, several sellouts already in program history. They are top 10 in attendance year after year. It is a terrific environment. Hey, maybe Clemson will climb into the top 10 at some point. Stanford right now, the highest ranked ACC team. Got off to a bit of a slow start, but making their way up. They have multiple Olympians on their team. Levi Young, Rui Vivar, Filipino Olympian, 995 on both bars and floor in the victory over Pittsburgh. They've also got another Olympian, the bronze medalist on floor for Romania in Paris a couple of years back, Ana Barbosu. Stanford is loaded this season. They were first in the ACCs last year. But the team everybody is chasing right now is the defending national champ Oklahoma.
OU is the team to beat. They're #1 in the country, but that's the standard for this year. So nice to see them doing so well, and also to see where they're at gymnastics-wise. Addison
Feda, all-around winner. 2 198 scores already for Oklahoma. Got another one against Alabama, top 5 win, defending national champ. Stanford, we mentioned that victory over Pittsburgh. They continue to pull out victories. They topped Cal in the big meet this past week. And then North Carolina, NC State coming up tomorrow. ACC Network rounding out our ACC slate this weekend. Sydney Seabrooks, we mentioned her earlier. She has been an amazing freshman, especially on this event.
Take a look at her gymnastics right here, the explosiveness she has on all of her events, but the personality that comes along with her. I love just her dance, Her facial expressions, she just gives such a performance every time she goes out.
It's a personality that has certainly reached the entire North Carolina team. Got a great environment here and a great meet as well. Rotation 4 coming up. And that is royally tight going to rotation 4 with Clemson on the floor and Cal on the beam. Just the show that these fans were looking for. This is how we got to this point. Cal was terrific on bars to start. Clemson took the lead back after rotation 2. Now it's Cal with a very slight edge. And the Golden Bears taking on their old head coaches, Justin Howell, Liz Crandall Howell, who made the transition to Clemson over the offseason. An outstanding ACC meet. We're going to say that a lot this year across the 6-team conference. What are you looking for in this final rotation? Let's start with Floor and Clemson.
Clemson is going to want to stay loose, like Liz Crandall Howell told us, having the joy and just relaxing, having fun with your teammates. That's when they're at their best, and we'll see that. They're in their home environment, home arena. It's loud in here. That's going to play to their advantage. Cal, on the other hand, on beam, how are they going to calm down, decompress a bit? They were aggressive on floor, but now they're at an away meet. You're ending on beam. Those are two hard things.
Yep.
And it's electric in here. It's loud. So staying in their own bubble is really important for them.
And for Clemson, it's almost like having a closer in baseball with Bree Clark in the 5th spot in the floor lineup. She's 4th in the nation. We're about to see one of the best in the country, and there's got to be a certain comfort level that comes with that.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to be going crazy when Bree Clark comes up to do her floor routine.
All right, on beam, we start with Sage Melkonian. You talked about the pressure in these situations. Sage said, when my heart races, I pretend like it's applause. We'll see how she handles the beam here.
I like that. She starts off with that back handspring back layout. She does a pretty quick beam routine. She has a fast rhythm, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. A little bit off on that switch ring. She's moving through. Just has her round off 1.5 here. Notice how she was a little bit crooked off the side of the beam. Now, the judges are at a different angle, so they might not see that. But she did take a step, so that will be a deduction. Either way, you can see on that punch, just a little bit over.
And every dismount is going to be very interesting to watch with these teams separated by a 1/2 tenth coming in. That could be the difference.
That's the best part about gymnastics. It comes down to the very last tenth.
These floor routines done right in front of the student section here at Little John Coliseum, providing a little extra juice for Lily Lippett.
We'll see her start off with a round off to double tuck. Looking for the height and the controlled landing. And she gets it. A lot of power on that step back. She was able to hold it on her lunge. Nice toe point throughout her leap combo. Gearing up for her last tumbling pass here. She's gonna start with a Sissone into her round off, 1.5 front full. Nice job there. Unique to start with that Sissone jump. Liz Crandall-Howell says that's one of her favorite parts of the routine. It adds that artistic piece that a lot of gymnasts usually put at the end of their routine. See right here, she jumps into it to start it off. 1.5 into the front fall.
Almost like a non-verbal, here we go.
A little extra juice there.
Keeping an eye on the all-around. Paulson and Cesario trailing Numinachi by just a bit at this point.
She's gonna start with a front aerial to back handspring. She had a little bit of trouble on this last week. No problems this week. Side aerial. If you were looking closely at her feet, they were a little bit off there, and she's able to grip the beam to stay on. We talked about her elegance on floor with her dance. She also has it on beam. The gainer full off the side, ends with a stick. She's excited about it. Let's see from this angle the leaps, the extension she gets. Look at her knees and her toe point.
Cal is going to need every 10th to try and hold off Clemson here. Maggie Holman, 9.875 on floor last week, her season high, after the 9.825 just came in for Lippin.
Maggie's going to start with an E-pass as well. It's going to be a front double full. She's going to have that blind landing. Really nice job on the control. We're seeing a lot of two-pass floor routines. So because of that, you need to still get to that 10-0 start value. That's why the combination of the leaps are so important. You have those connections on top of your tumbling. It's important to meet those requirements. Last pass here. She does that Rudy to back layout, step out, stayed in bounds. The air awareness is amazing that these gymnasts have. Let's take a look at her first pass here. Notice the landing. She sets it up, front double full twist all the way around. That was a big step. It looked a little bit out of control. The judges will deduct on that. And then this last pass, the Rudy back layout step out. Look how close her heel is to that line. She was able to keep it in bounds though.
With Clemson trailing by a 0.5 coming in, is it easier to avoid deductions on floor or on beam as Clemson tries to gain ground?
Well, I say this, Clemson's at home, so they have a lot of adrenaline in the crowd helping them out, but that's a tough question. Both events, they're gonna have to get every single 10th to be able to come out with the win. So far, a solid routine. We just saw a switch split to beat jump. Gainer full off the side, ends it with a stick. A strong routine for a freshman just coming in, getting the hang of things. again, this is a hard environment to compete in, so nice job.
No doubt. Freshman Sarah Lee following the 9.875 season high for Paulson. Freshman back-to-back in this beam lineup for Cal. Still waiting on the score from Holman. There it is, 9.825, couple of them in a row to start on floor for Clemson. Paving the way for Tara Walsh. She didn't compete much her first 4 seasons at Auburn and then Michigan State. This is her second and final year with Clemson as a 6th-year senior, and she has found her groove in South Carolina.
She's really been a standout athlete to me this year. She's going to open with a front full to front full. You see how she lands really nicely. Doing 2 of the same skill in a row can be difficult sometimes, and all of that twisting. But she does a nice job. You see that range up there showing off her flexibility. Last pass, she does a front Rudy. On her last pass, I would love to see a little bit more height on that Rudy. It's difficult when you're doing it just from a run. There's no front handspring in front of it, so it's really important that you set yourself up nicely. Look right here, sets yourself up, but go straight into it, so she cuts off a little bit of height that, again, I would have loved to have seen. That allows for that rise in the skill before the twist to be able to make it all the way around for that landing.
All right, Abby Scanlon getting hyped up right now. Cal is not making this easy for Clemson in the final rotation. Sarah Lee just posted her season high with a 9.9 on beam.
I'm really impressed with this Cal beam lineup. They're doing a great job of just staying calm.
Did you want anybody talking to you before you went out there?
I did not.
Okay. By
Nope.
yourself.
I had my own thing. I just, yeah, was in the zone. Back handspring, back layout acro series here. Notice her breathing throughout. She has those cues. She's taking deep breaths. Those are things that these athletes practice. Really pretty routine so far. Just has her 1.5 dismount. She stuck it last week. And she gets a stick this week as well. Notice how her feet are a bit staggered. The judges want to see them completely together. So depending on how picky they are, they may deduct. But regardless, that was a really beautiful routine.
I mean, this is just a terrific run for Cal right now on beam. Scanlon with years of injuries. This is her 2nd year competing on beam now. She said, my only expectation for myself is allowing myself to have fun. As simple as that sounds, competing with a lot of joy. Ella Cesario, 4th in the floor lineup for Clemson after the 9.875 from Tara Walsh.
Such a close meet that we're talking about. One thing I love about Clemson is they're going for those hard skills. Their lineup, they're doing these E-passes. We're gonna see another one. A tuck full in right here from Ella. Huge height on that. Really controlled landing. It's loud in here now. She has such beautiful gymnastics. And she's one of those athletes that you know when you put her up to hit a routine, she's going to get a high score.
Especially on this event. I mean, her confidence right now is just tangible.
Last pass, 1.5 to front layout. And she is pumped about it. She stays in bounds. I love how she traveled that pass. A strong routine, but even better to set up Bree Clark. So Ellis Cesario, take another look at her first tumbling pass. The difficulty, a double back with a full twist. Look right here, she sets it up, tucks her legs in, and breaks out. That chest up the whole time, that control, and then the last pass, 1.5. Look at the extension on the front layout there. She travels so much with that distance. It's hard to get height and distance at the same time.
Got to be weird for her today, competing against her old team for the first time with coaches that she's known since she was in 8th grade, making the transition to Clemson. All right, Mickey Adorinto in the 5 spot on the beam lineup for Cal. 2 9.9s in a row for Cal, and the last from Scanlon.
And that front toss is a highlight of this beam routine. She landed upright, almost like she was sitting in a chair. Acro series, back handspring, back layout. The judges may deduct on a little bit of form break throughout. We saw little bent legs and toe point. Looking for a stick on this gainer fall. Slight step backwards. A little bit of deductions here and there the judges will take, but overall a nice routine.
All right, what else would you want? Close meet and one of the best in the country on floor coming up, Bree Clark.
We talk about her double layout all the time, but take a look at this combination. She does a front layout, gets the height, a front full, gets even more rise into a front tuck. That's the highest point she gets. So again, highlighting that 3 combination pass that's already difficult, but continues to rise on each skill.
Unique.
We'll take a look right here.
Unique explosiveness for Bree Clark. We did get word that there were a couple of choreography tweaks coming into this week, so we'll see.
Biggest highlight though, this double layout she's gonna start out with. Watch the height, but watch the landing. Massive double layout. A little bit of a big lunge there. The judges may take depending. Again, that is from having so much power. This is such a fun performance to watch. Liz Crandall-Howell said, Bree's expectation is to level up every single day in practice and in every single competition. That's what makes her so good. Here's that pass we just watched. Take a look, front layout, front full, huge front tuck, and she sticks it. I mean, wow, it is so loud in this arena right now.
Phenomenal. And a look to the student section to cap it.
Everyone is chanting 10 in here. We'll take another look at the replay and see what the judges do. See how she gets the height right there on the double layout. Just insane. Again, a little bit of a bigger lunge there, so they may deduct on that, but then last pass, front layout, front full. Her hips continue to rise as she goes from skill to skill, which again, is very rare that you see that.
Never seen a perfect 10 in Clemson history. She's got 9.95 the last 2 weeks. 9.8 to clinch the all-around and give Cal their first 197 of the season. Big routine for Annalise Numanacci and a fall.
She just was off. Her hips weren't square with the beam on that back handspring, back layout. You see she didn't even get that back leg on. Very uncharacteristic leg for her.
So the score you see for Cal now, with that fall, it's going to be the final score for Cal.
She finishes with her round-up 1.5 dismount. Again, she's not going to be happy about the fall, but the good thing is their beam lineup has been so strong. That's the score that they'll be able to drop. Let's take another look. She does that back handspring into the back layout. You see her hips are just off. She's not able to get that back leg onto the beam. See here. Again, the tiniest little inch off can affect the entire skill combination on balance beam.
It all comes down to Madison Minner, our final performer today.
She starts with a Rudy to back layout, step out. I like her rock and roll routine. But what's funny is the way she is in competition is exactly how she is in practice, they told us.
Bree Clark just got a 9.9. Clemson needs a 9.925 to win it from Minner.
It is going to be close. She ends with a front double full. Almost looked like from this angle she wasn't going to get that twist all the way around, but she did pull it through at the very last second. Another good way to end their lineup as well. What a close competition. We're going to be waiting.
Yeah, the tension is crazy.
Building up.
Needed a big score with a 9.925. I don't know if she's going to get it. That would be to win for Clemson. Right now, it's Cal with the advantage. I mean, talk about a dream scenario for Madison Minner. She grew up 40 minutes from Clemson. The day after her high school graduation is when Clemson actually announced they were bringing in a gymnastics program. She didn't think she could go to her dream school and compete in gymnastics. And now she's competing in scenarios like this.
Pressure situations, and she handled it beautifully. These are the things that we talk about you can't control. Can't control the scores. You just have to sit and wait. But they are enjoying it with their team right now.
Cal is just waiting. They think they've got it. Even with the fall from Numanacci, terrific on the beam to put themselves in position. Cal's score is final. What is Clemson's?
And Clemson, with those hard tumbling passes, that's what you have to throw to be a contender for the national championships.
Yep.
Those level skills. So they did a fantastic job being confident, working on those landings, and continuing to build their scores.
Long discussion. I'm sure everybody's doing math in their head right now.
They are really wanting to keep us on our toes here with the judges conference.
Again, Madison Minner would need a 9.925 to win it for Clemson. And her season high on floor is 9.825. Geraldine Stack-Eaton just checking in. I mean, this has got to be really hard to wait if you're an athlete in this situation, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this meet, it's been so close the entire time, especially with all of them knowing each other and all of them being friends, old coaches, them coming back. It's a lot riding on this competition, and it's been so fun to watch. But having this at the very end, just waiting for one more score that could make all the difference, is very nerve-wracking. That's just when, as an athlete, you're holding your breath.
Everybody in the stadium is. You mentioned Justin and Liz Howell competing against their old team for the first time. Recruited so many of the athletes still on Cal. And the Golden Bears could have some friendly bragging rights with a victory on the road if they do hold on here.
Regardless, both of these teams are going to come out with such good scores. A good score for Cal being the away team, and a good score for Clemson being the home team. And that's what really matters at this point in the season, wanting to build up those scores for their NQS that will come into play pretty soon here, where it really starts to matter.
Yeah, we're getting close to the postseason already. It's already a season high for Cal with a team score of 196.950. All right, this must mean we have a ruling.
Following them very closely. I think every single person in the arena is looking at that judges table right now to see what score they flash.
.9925 needed to win it for Clemson, but that would be a big score and career high for Minner. They just popped it up. Cal holds on by a half-tenth.
Wow.
Oh, so close.
So close, literally down to the half-10 that we talked about. That's the difference of a 10-0 start value versus a 9-9 start value, 9.95 start value on vault, for example. So you see all of these details and execution and landings that we emphasize on each event, but this is a great example of how it truly does come down to it.
Another conference just to make sure. A 9.85 for Minner. She did everything she could in that situation. That's a season high for her.
And in that situation, typically, she does not know what score she needs to get. That's not something you want to tell your athlete before they're having to go up for a routine. So she wasn't thinking, oh, I have to get a 9.925. It was more just of her wanting to go out there and do her best.
And this extra discussion is a Clemson coach-initiated inquiry. Of course, they're going to ask about it when it comes down to a half-tenth. But if everything holds, Cal has won it on the road.
They really did a great job from start to finish. Every single rotation, every single routine, you could see that their confidence was starting to build, and they kept that momentum. So I'm really impressed with how Cal came on the road from West Coast to East Coast and did such a great job.
Going against their old coaches, right? And, you know, they talking to Geraldine Stack-Eaton. It is official. Cal has won it, and we'll wrap everything up on the other side. Victory for the Golden Bears on the road. They're coming across the country, and they're celebrating right now. Cal has won it in Little John Coliseum by a half-tenth. And what a performance for Tanya Paulson. Continues to put these great performances together in her freshman season, coming from Sweden. Tied for 17th in the nation and all-around coming in. Another all-around victory today for Tanya Paulson with a 39.325. You got to turn to the bar score, if anything, for Tanya Paulson with a 9.925, and then wrapped it up well with a career high 9.875 on the beam. You know, that's really true for Cal as a whole. The beam was the difference today in helping them take down Clemson, their old coaches, Justin Howell and Liz Crandall Howell as well. That's going to do it for us from Clemson. For more women's gymnastics, tune in tomorrow, ACC Network. We've got North Carolina and NC State. We're sending it to Nothing But Net Studio with Taylor Tannenbaum, Luke Hancock, and Joel Berry. For Sydney Sneed and our entire crew, I'm Jack Kaiser. Thanks for joining us from Clemson.